What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a talk show expecting a friendly conversation, only to be ambushed by a host who seems determined to humiliate him on live television? In just 34 seconds, a simple question about his career would spiral into the most uncomfortable moment in daytime TV history, exposing a host's true colors and leading to an explosive exit that nobody saw coming. Samuel L. Jackson settled into the plush chair across from Jennifer Hudson, his signature calm demeanor on full display. The studio audience applauded as the cameras rolled, capturing what was supposed to be a lighthearted promotional interview. Jackson had done thousands of these over his legendary career. This should have been easy. Hudson flashed her bright smile at the camera before turning to her guest. So Samuel, let's talk about your new movie. I heard you're playing another tough guy role. Isn't that like all you ever do? The audience fell silent. Jackson's eyebrows raised slightly, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. He kept his composure, responding with a measured tone. Well, I've played a wide range of characters, actually. Dramatic roles, comedic roles, complex characters with depth and nuance. Hudson waved her hand dismissively, cutting him off. Right, but let's be honest. You basically play the same person in every movie. The angry guy who yells a lot. Don't you ever get tired of that? Jackson shifted in his seat, maintaining his professionalism despite the clear disrespect. I think if you look at my body of work, you'll see tremendous variety. From my early independent films to major blockbusters, I've always tried to bring something unique to each character. Sure, Hudson interrupted again, her tone dripping with condescension. But what I'm asking is, don't you think you're kind of just coasting on the same image? I mean, how hard is it really to just show up and be angry? The studio audience shifted uncomfortably. Some exchanged glances, clearly sensing the hostility in Hudson's questions. Jackson's jaw tightened, but he remained composed, a testament to his decades of professionalism. Acting is a craft, Jackson replied, his voice steady but firm. Every role requires preparation, dedication, and bringing truth to the character. It's not about showing up and reading lines. Hudson leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. Okay, but let me ask you this. How many of your movies can you actually say are good? Like, really good? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like you just take whatever paycheck comes your way. The air in the studio grew thick with tension. Jackson's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, his legendary composure seemed to waver. That's a pretty disrespectful thing to say to someone you've invited onto your show. Oh, come on. Don't be so sensitive, Hudson shot back, laughing in a way that felt more mocking than genuine. I'm just keeping it real. Everyone knows you're in like 50 movies a year. You can't possibly care about all of them. Jackson took a deep breath, clearly working to maintain his cool. I care about every project I'm part of. Some films are artistic endeavors, some are commercial entertainment, but I give my all to each one. That's what being a professional means. Professional? Hudson scoffed. Is that what we're calling it? Because I'd call it selling out. But okay. The audience gasped audibly. Several people looked at each other in disbelief. Jackson's publicist, sitting off stage, stood up, her face a mask of concern. The producers in the control room scrambled, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the train wreck continue. Jackson leaned forward, his voice low and controlled. I've been in this industry for over 40 years. I've worked with some of the greatest directors, actors, and storytellers in cinema history. I don't need to justify my choices to you or anyone else. Hudson rolled her eyes dramatically. 40 years, and what do you have to show for it? A bunch of action movies where you say cool lines? Please. I've been in this business way less time than you, and I've already won more prestigious awards. The comparison hung in the air like a grenade. Jackson's expression hardened. Are you seriously comparing our careers right now? On your own show? Why not? Hudson replied, her voice rising. I'm just pointing out that longevity doesn't equal quality. Maybe if you were more selective, more discerning about your roles, you'd have more respect in the industry. I have plenty of respect in the industry, Jackson countered, his voice growing louder, from people who actually matter, from fellow actors, directors, and audiences worldwide who appreciate what I do. Hudson laughed again, that same dismissive, cutting laugh. Oh, audiences love you because you're entertaining, not because you're a great actor. There's a difference, Samuel. A big difference. Jackson stood up abruptly, his mic pack nearly pulling off his belt. You know what? I don't have to sit here and be insulted by someone who clearly has no respect for the craft or for me. Oh, sit down, Hudson commanded, pointing at the chair. We're in the middle of an interview. Don't be so dramatic. Dramatic? Jackson's voice boomed through the studio. You've spent the last 10 minutes attacking my career, my choices, and my integrity, and you're calling me dramatic? Hudson stood up too, her face flushed with anger. I'm calling it like I see it. If you can't handle honest criticism, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. Honest criticism? Jackson repeated, his voice incredulous. This isn't criticism. This is you trying to tear me down to make yourself feel bigger, and I'm not going to be part of it. You're just mad because someone finally had the guts to tell you the truth, Hudson shot back. Everyone else just kisses your butt because you're Samuel L. Jackson, but I'm not afraid of you. This isn't about fear, Jackson said, his voice returning to that controlled intensity. This is about basic respect, something you clearly don't have. Hudson stepped closer, her voice growing sharper. You want to talk about respect? You come on my show, on my platform, and you think you can lecture me about respect? Your platform? Jackson's eyes widened. This platform exists because people tune in to see guests like me, and you're treating me like garbage. Maybe because you treat your career like garbage, Hudson snapped, taking every role that comes your way. No standards, no integrity. The audience was dead silent now, watching the confrontation unfold like witnesses to a car crash. Jackson's hands clenched into fists at his sides, not in threat, but in barely contained frustration. My integrity has never been questioned in 4 decades, Jackson said, his voice shaking with controlled anger. Not until I walked onto this stage. You know what your problem is? You think winning a few awards gives you the right to judge everyone else. I think being good at what I do gives me the right to call out people who aren't, Hudson retorted. Jackson let out a bitter laugh. You think you're good? You've been hosting this show for what, a couple years? And you think that puts you on a level to critique my entire career? At least I take my work seriously, Hudson said. I don't just show up for a paycheck like some people. You don't know anything about me or my work ethic, Jackson fired back. You don't know the preparation I put in, the research, the hours of work that go into every performance. Hudson crossed her arms again, her posture defiant. I know enough. I know you're in every other movie that comes out. That tells me everything I need to know. It tells you I'm in demand, Jackson countered. It tells you people want to work with me. Directors seek me out. Studios value what I bring. But you wouldn't understand that because you're too busy sitting here, trying to score cheap points. Cheap points? Hudson's voice rose to a near shout. I'm trying to have a real conversation instead of the usual fake Hollywood nonsense where everyone pretends everything is perfect. A real conversation involves mutual respect, Jackson said firmly. This is an ambush. You brought me here under false pretenses, just so you could tear me down on camera. Hudson took a step back, her expression shifting to mock innocence. Oh, so you can dish it out in your movies, playing all these tough characters, but you can't take a little heat in an interview? There's a difference between playing a character and having someone attack you personally, Jackson explained, his patience clearly wearing thin. But I wouldn't expect you to understand that distinction. What's that supposed to mean? Hudson demanded. It means you're confusing real life with performance, Jackson said. You're confusing confidence with arrogance and honesty with cruelty. Hudson's face flushed deeper. I'm not cruel. I'm honest. Maybe that's something you're not used to. I'm used to honesty, Jackson replied. I'm not used to someone being intentionally disrespectful for no reason other than to create drama for ratings. Ratings? Hudson laughed harshly. You think this is about ratings? This is about having a genuine conversation. This stopped being a conversation the moment you started insulting me, Jackson said, his voice dropping to a dangerous calm. This became something else entirely. The tension was suffocating. The audience sat, frozen, unsure whether to react or remain silent. The cameras continued rolling, capturing every uncomfortable second. Hudson pointed at Jackson, her finger jabbing the air. You know what your problem is? You're used to everyone treating you like royalty. You can't handle someone who sees through the image. There's no image to see through, Jackson said quietly. I'm exactly who I am. I work hard, I respect my craft, and I respect the people I work with. Those are facts, not an image. Facts? Hudson questioned mockingly. The fact is, you're standing here throwing a tantrum because someone dared to question you. I'm standing here defending myself against baseless attacks, Jackson corrected her. There's a difference, and the fact that you can't see that is troubling. Hudson walked back to her chair and sat down, waving her hand dismissively. Whatever. If you want to leave, leave. But everyone watching will know you couldn't handle a tough interview. Jackson stared at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. When he finally spoke, his voice was measured and clear. Everyone watching will see exactly what happened here. They'll see a host who invited a guest onto her show just to humiliate him. They'll see someone who confused mean-spiritedness with honesty. I'm not mean, Hudson protested, but her voice lacked conviction now. Yes, you are, Jackson said simply. And what's worse is you don't even realize it. You think you're being brave or bold, but you're just being rude. Hudson stood up again, her composure cracking. Get out then. If you're going to insult me on my own show, just leave. I'm not insulting you, Jackson said calmly. I'm stating facts, but you're right about one thing. I am leaving. He reached down and unclipped his microphone, the sound echoing through the silent studio. The crew members looked at each other nervously, unsure what to do. This had never happened before. You can't just walk off, Hudson said, her voice rising with panic now. We're in the middle of filming. Watch me, Jackson replied, setting the microphone on his chair. Hudson's voice grew desperate. This is unprofessional. You signed a contract. You agreed to be here. Jackson turned to face her one final time. I agreed to an interview, not a verbal assault. There's nothing in any contract that says I have to sit here and be disrespected. You're making a huge mistake, Hudson warned. Everyone will hear about this. Good, Jackson said firmly. Let them hear about it. Let them hear about how you treat your guests. Let them hear about how you think success gives you the right to tear others down. Hudson's voice cracked slightly. I didn't tear you down. I asked tough questions. No, Jackson corrected, his voice gentle now, but still firm. You attacked me personally. You dismissed my entire career. You compared yourself to me in a way designed to diminish my accomplishments. That's not asking tough questions. That's something else entirely. The silence that followed was deafening. Hudson opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. She looked around the studio, at the crew, at the audience, at the cameras still rolling. You should really think about how you treat people, Jackson said quietly, because one day you'll be on the other side of that equation, and you'll remember this moment. Are you threatening me? Hudson asked, her voice small now. I'm not threatening anyone, Jackson replied. I'm just telling you the truth. The same truth you claimed to be telling me. Except mine is actually based on respect. He walked toward the edge of the stage, his movements deliberate and controlled. The audience remained silent, torn between wanting to applaud and being too shocked to react. Hudson called after him. "Samuel, wait. Please, can we just start over?" Jackson paused at the steps leading off the stage. He turned his head slightly, not quite looking at her. "Start over? After everything you just said? After all those insults? You can't just erase that." "I was trying to make good television," Hudson said weakly. "At my expense," Jackson replied. "You wanted to make good television by making me look bad. That's not hosting. That's bullying." "I'm not a bully," Hudson insisted, her voice breaking. Jackson finally turned to face her fully. "Then you need to take a long look at what just happened here. Because from where I'm standing, that's exactly what it was." Hudson's eyes welled up, but Jackson didn't move toward her or soften his stance. "You had a chance to have a real conversation. You could have asked about my process, my experiences, my perspective on the industry. Instead, you chose to attack. That was your choice." "I'm sorry," Hudson whispered. "Tell that to the audience," Jackson said. "Tell that to everyone watching at home who had to witness this. But don't tell me, because right now, I don't think you mean it. I think you're sorry you got called out, not sorry for what you did." The words hit Hudson like a physical blow. She sank back into her chair, her hand covering her mouth. The confident, confrontational host from minutes ago had completely disappeared. Jackson took a deep breath. "I've been in this business a long time. I've dealt with difficult people, complicated situations, and plenty of challenges. But I've never had someone invite me onto their show specifically to tear me down. That's a first." "That wasn't my intention," Hudson said quietly. "Then what was your intention?" Jackson asked. "Because from the very first question, you were hostile. You dismissed my work, questioned my choices, and compared yourself to me in the most unflattering way possible. If that wasn't your intention, what was?" Hudson had no answer. She looked down at her hands, unable to meet his gaze. Jackson nodded slowly. "That's what I thought. You didn't think this through. You thought it would be entertaining to go after me, to create some kind of viral moment. But you forgot one important thing." "What?" Hudson asked, her voice barely audible. "I'm a human being," Jackson said simply. "Not a character, not a persona. A real person who deserves basic respect and courtesy. Everyone does." With those final words, Samuel L. Jackson descended the stairs and walked off the stage. His footsteps echoed in the silent studio as he made his way to the exit. The cameras followed him until he disappeared through the door, leaving behind a devastated host and a stunned audience. Hudson sat alone on the stage, the weight of what had happened settling over her like a heavy blanket. The producers rushed out, their voices a confused murmur as they tried to figure out what to do next. The audience remained seated, processing the most uncomfortable television moment they had ever witnessed live. One audience member whispered to another, "I can't believe that just happened."